Thank you. So welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure for me to be here presenting audience targeting because it's been almost 1 year of work with a very incredible team. And it's been a lot of people involved in this project, and I'm very happy to be showing it here, and especially because it's something I really like. We have enjoyed a lot this year, and I'm very happy to be able to show it to you. This is something, I'm going to do a very quick introduction about what the application does, and then I will do a short demo. And this is a song that you probably all know. It has a very interesting message, which is everybody is looking for something, right? I think it's very clear that when people go to your websites, they are looking for something. And sometimes we ignore this message, but the truth is, when someone gets to your intranet, to your website, to whatever you have created, they are looking for information, for an image, for a document. They are looking for something, right? And if we don't know what they are looking for, we sometimes just give them everything, right? We show all the information. And this website is real. So you have everything there, and people can just look at everything. But the user experience is really bad. Probably they won't even find what they are looking for, even if it's in the front page. And it happens in most companies. They are usually fighting for getting some space in the front page. And at the end, you have the full page, the front page, full of different things. And that's not a good thing, because people are looking for specific things when they go to your website. And something we have to try to do is to identify who is coming to our website and what they are looking for. Brian Chong used to tell a story about how relationships used to be one-to-one in the past. For example, when a tailor was creating a suit for a person, you will go there, and you will have a very personal experience. He will do the suit for you, and you will be talking to him for a while, and they will do a suit specifically designed for you. And now with the mass media and all the changes in these years, now if you go to Zara and you buy a suit, it's designed for millions of people, and the experience is completely different. It's much more efficient, but it's not that personal. You don't get that much attention. You don't feel listened as much. So we cannot build one website per each one of our visitors we have in our website, but we can actually segment our audience and identify different groups of people, and then display different things for them. And the goal is actually that every person who comes to our website can have a different experience, that we have designed experiences for different user segments. So this app is going to be a lot about user segments, about identifying who is coming to our website in order to provide them a very unique experience, which is what they want to do in our website. This is something that another expert for marketing told me once, that we only know 50% of the marketing, of our marketing budget is effective, but the truth is we have no idea of what is that 50%. So we still have to spend all this money because it's impossible to know which parts are the ones which are effective. And this reminds me of this video. I don't know, I hope you can listen to it.
And, oh, people can come up with statistics to prove anything can't. 40% of all people know that.
What was it saying? That even that 50% is a number that we don't even really know. We have usually no idea about which budget from marketing is effective. We never knew in the past how much time people spend looking at a commercial we have on a bus stop or in the metro or anywhere. We don't know if they were watching TV or they went to the toilet at that moment. We usually don't have any feedback about the marketing, the money we spend on marketing. But that's changing a lot with digital marketing. And nowadays, we can measure a lot of that information in our website. And what we are trying to achieve is something similar to having a feedback form for each of our visitors in our website and asking them, hey, did you like the website? Did you find what you were looking for? How much time did you spend trying to find what you were looking for? Or how many times did you have to click on different links to get the information you were looking for? But we all know that customers, they hate to fill feedback forms all the time. So what we are trying to do is listen to the users. And this is the part which is trying to become our website experience in a dialogue. And I think this happens to all of us, at least to me, when you're in a website, big website, and you try to do some process, like maybe buy something, and suddenly in the last step, it fails. And you feel really terrible about it because the website is wrong, it has a bug, and you somehow expect them to realize and fix it, right? That's happened to me. I say like, oh guys, I hope you realize that when I was doing this process, it broke, and now I cannot buy things, so you have a problem in your website. So somehow I think more and more we are expecting the websites to be smarter and to realize when they have problems so that they can be fixed. So in the same way, we are trying to provide some tools so that we can listen to our users, see what they are doing in our website, how they interact with our website, measure that information so that we can say, okay, this form is too long, people don't end up the form. Or we can say this video is boring because people don't click on play the video button, for example. So we try to change this experience in our website to a dialogue, to listen to our users and realize what they want to do. And this is not all buzzword. I'm going to show you this app, and the good news is that it's already available. You don't have to wait for any release. It's already available, and it's for 6.2, so you can start using it today in your projects. So if you go to Marketplace, you will find audience targeting, both for EE and CE, and you can just download it and use it. And I'm going to show you very quick how it works. I'm going to use a website, which is the Symposium website for Boston. It's very similar to the one you have in DEVCON. You probably recognize this website. And the very cool thing is that even if you may recognize the website, depending on who you are, it's going to look different. So we have this website here with talking about Liferay screens, and it's saying, see our workshops. But if I'm another user here, it's going to see the agenda or register for early bird. And this can be even different for anonymous users. We don't need you to be logged in to know lots of this information. So I'm going to show you how we created this experience and how everything is used so that you can start using it too. So the first part we have is some applications that we have developed, and you can add in any page. They are here, the audience targeting. So we have 3 applications. The first one I'm going to show you is the user segment content display, which is this part here, which is displaying different content for different user segments. So, oh, sorry. So right now it's showing just one piece of content, but if I am the administrator, it will show you some previews here of the different content, which is showing to the different user segments. So for the users who are visiting our website through an iPhone or an iPad, it will say, hey, download the Liferay Events app from the marketplace. If you're Android, it will say the same for the Android one. If you like Alfresco on Facebook, we know that probably you are using some of these document repository functionalities, so we will tell you, hey, have you tried Liferay Sync? It has integration with Alfresco. So if you like Alfresco on Facebook, you will probably be interested in our integration with them. We also have, for example, if you're a developer, we will tell you, hey, see our workshops in the agenda, and otherwise we have just see the agenda. Okay? So I will go later into how we analyze all these user segments. And the way it can be configured is very simple. So we have all these rules here that you can just create. It says if the user belongs to any or all of the following user segments, and you can choose as many as you want. And then you will say for these user segments, then display this content. And you could display any content, web content, blog, or any asset that you have created. You can also choose that asset. Any information can be displayed here. And then you can create as many rules as you want. You can add more. Just clicking in the plus button, you can get more. And you can reorder them so that they are evaluated in order. So you can move this one up here, move this one down, all as you want. And then finally, you have the otherwise, which is OK. So otherwise, if the user didn't match any rule, then don't display anything or display this other content as the default. Okay. So this is what this app gives us here, which is an application which displays different content for different user segments. And another one we have down below here is a list of speakers. Right now it's not showing any. It will show different speakers based on my user segments. So if I'm a developer, it will display developer speakers who are interesting for developers. If I'm a business user, it will display speakers who are interesting for business users. So I'm going to use the simulator because it's going to be faster. So in this simulator, I can say, OK, now I'm a developer. Just simulate that so they can see how it looks. And you can see below here, I have the speaker highlights. So I have 4 developers. However, if I change the simulation, and instead of a developer, I'm a business user, now I get a list of different speakers. Okay, so this is identifying which are my user segments and trying to match with different speakers of different user segments. And let me show you how we configure all these user segments. We have a new application in the site administration, which is called audience targeting. And here we have two different tabs. First one is user segments. I will go later into the campaigns concept. So for user segments, you can create as many as you want. And when you create a user segment, you can add as many rules as you want to define that user segment. And something very obvious could be, for example, by gender, I could say I want to target female over 30, for example. That could be one example. But you can choose many different rules. So I could say users who belong to a site or an organization, users who have different role. I could go into some social aspects, like all the Facebook information. I could see I like users who like Liferay on Facebook, for example, or who have more than 100 friends on Facebook, because I know they are popular people and they can influence others. We also have many rules based on behavior. So we could say target people who have visited this content already or who hasn't watched this page. I will go later into the score points. It's another one very cool. I also can use different session attributes such as the location, so target users from Spain or from Germany, and for example, Germany. And then you could target for a specific region in Germany. Also, you can target by the browser, operating system, or even the device. This is integrated with the device families that you have here. So you can define different device families using many complex rules and then target users based on those rules. So this is very flexible. And in the next sessions, I will go into explaining how you can add many more rules to this UI using OSGI. So with all these definitions, I will show you the ones I had created. They are very simple, like the alfresco fans is just a very simple rule which says users who like alfresco on Facebook. I have the iPhone is just users who belong to this device family, the iOS devices. And then the one which is very cool is the developers and the business users. So this is a problem, a real problem we have in Liferay every year. When we have, here in DEVCON, we usually know you are developers, but in the past we used to have the symposiums, and all around the world we still have the symposiums, which means we have developers and business users coming to the same event. And usually we have two tracks, one for developers and one for business users. But we only have one website, and it's the same for everyone. So we actually wanted to target the website to look a bit different for each of them. And the first part was identifying, when users come to our website, are you a developer or are you a business user? So how can we do that even if they are not logging? How can we find out that information? So we say, okay, we know how they behave. They behave different. So when developers come to our website, they usually go to the forums. They ask questions, they read technical information. However, business users don't go there. Business users go to the user stories pages and they see all the reports and all the different documents from Gartner and all that information. So if we can track their activity and identify how they behave, we can then segment them and target them in a different way. So we have this rule called score points, which is assigning points to user every time they interact with assets of a certain type. So for example, for developers, I'm going to show you a demo. We just decided to create this user segment, and we are give developers points each time they interact with a page which has the user segment developers or a content categorized for developers. And I'm going to say here, when they get more than 5 points, they belong to this user segment. It's a very low number, but I will show you for a demo because I can just interact 5 times with this content. So that after I say this, I can categorize pages or content, like this forums page. We have the forums. I'm going to say that the forums are categorized for this user segment developers. So now, even if I'm a guest user, I'm going to start here as a guest user. I'm seeing all the default information here, the agenda, register for the early bird, no speakers, because it doesn't know who I am yet. But if I go to the forums, this is 1 time, then I click another page 2 times, then 3 times, 4 times. I go to a category 5 times. Now I'm a developer. So if I go here, now I can see all the speaker highlight, and I see everything because it knows now I'm a developer. This also works for login users and all this information. And this is just one rule that we have created, which is the score points rule, which gives you this power. So as you can imagine, it has endless possibilities about creating rules, user segments, and all this information. The other concept we have is the campaigns, very similar to the concept of marketing campaigns that probably you already know. Usually when we have an event here, we try to run several campaigns in our websites. So we have one, for example, for the early registration. It's trying to encourage people to register early to the symposium and to the event. And then we have one for the library screens launching, which is going to be only for developers, and one for the audience targeting, which is going to be only for business users. So when you create a campaign, you can just decide to which user segment you are targeting. You can say any or choose any of your user segments. Then you start when your campaign is starting, you decide that, and then when it's ending, and you give it a priority so that you can have different campaigns running at the same time in your website. So what can you do with campaigns afterwards? We have this application, which is the campaign content display, which is displaying different content for different campaigns. So the cool thing is very similar to the user segments one, but this one is for campaigns. So content, automatically you have also different contents, and the configuration is very similar. You choose different content for different campaigns, but here I cannot reorder. They cannot be drag and dropped. And why? Because they are shown following the priority of the campaigns. So at this point, the most priority campaign for us is the Liferay screens. This is the one which will show up for developers. For the other users, it will be the next one who is more priority. So going to the administration, you can see in the campaigns that they have a different priority. So Liferay screens has the one is the highest priority for us. So Liferay screens is most priority right now. So if I'm a developer, right here, the one I see here is the Liferay screens. And this could go through all our website. We could have many campaigns displaying different content for different campaigns. And if I change the priority here, and I say, OK, this is not that priority anymore, let's lower it down. Now what it does is that it will show me the others. And this will happen all around your website. So you don't have to go portlet by portlet, changing the information for one campaign. It's a nice way to have a smooth transition of content through all your website, because you don't have to go portlet by portlet, page by page, configuring every content, every portlet. When a campaign expires, all its content associated won't be displayed anymore. When it's launched, it will start showing up everywhere. And then just changing the priority, you can just change which content is shown to different users at all times. So it's very nice. And the other part about campaigns, which is very cool, is that you can measure the engagement of users with your campaign, and you can start listening to your users and see how they behave. So here we have what we have called tracking actions, and we have this here, but this again can be extended in many different ways. So for example, we have this video in the homepage, so we can just drag and drop this here, and then we can track who has started watching the video, who is playing, and who ended finishing the video. So for example, we could measure, okay, so nobody click on the play button. This video is not attractive at all. Or everybody click on the play button, but nobody finished watching the video. It's boring, right? So we can measure that interaction. And we can also measure who visited pages. We can see who clicks on a link, like in the agenda button, for example, here. We have this link here, and tracking who is clicking on that link. We have also this form for the registration. We can also track who viewed the form, who started interacting with the form, and who finished, who submitted the form. So we can measure again if people are dropping because the form was too long, it was too boring, and people didn't finish the process, for example. And we can also track all these things, and again, more things that I will explain later in the extending audience targeting. So what can you do later with all these things you have been tracking? Then we have reports. So you can go here to the reports, and you can actually get these graphics and these tables about how many people visited the new page, how many people started watching the video. Like you can see, 5 people click on play on the home video, but then only 1 finished watching the video. So you can measure, this is just some, I've been playing with it, but if you have millions of users, they can give you a lot of useful information about what is going on in your website. And we also have reports for user segments, so you could also see, for example, which is the most attractive content for a different user segment. So you could go to developers and reports, and you could also see these are the different contents on your website, so different pages, different articles, and you could see, okay, so this page is the one which is most visited by developers. This is the, for example, developers go to the forums a lot, but they don't go to these other pages, and etc. And I think this is all. So we have another session right afterwards explaining how to extend this application, all the extension points. Then we have a workshop, I think it's almost 2 hours, in which we'll go into detail and we'll do all these extensions actually and develop them. And then tomorrow I have a session with Eduardo in which we'll explain all the technical details of how we built this application using OSGI, and how you can leverage OSGI to build your own applications, which are extensible by other applications for 6.2. And that will be tomorrow. So thank you again for every one of you and to the team. It's been a big team, and we've been working for a long time. So thank you very much, and I think we have time for some questions, right? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First question, I've got two questions. First question, is it possible to stage these settings? I mean, all settings that you showed.
The settings?
Yes, to stage, I mean, to use staging for...
Staging?
Yes.
So at this point, in this release, which is in the marketplace, we are supporting local staging, which means you have staging in your own server. That's already supported, it works. Remote staging is not supported yet in this release. We are working on it right now, so next release, probably around next month or in the next weeks, it will support remote staging too.
And the second question, is it, do you have plans to extend all this to the whole page?
To the full page?
Yes, the whole page, I mean, the totally different page for different users.
So we do have plans for that. It's in the roadmap. I cannot tell you when it will be on, but it's in the roadmap. Good thing about audience targeting is that we are not following the Liferay release cycle. We just release right now, and we are trying to have a release, small release every 2 weeks with some improvements and small features. So we will keep releasing all year long. So that can happen anytime around this year. It's part of the roadmap. So it could happen anytime soon.
And about how you identify like gender or ages of visitors?
So right now, for that rule I showed you, we actually have 2 different ones at this point. So for the age, we have the default one, which is using your age from your Liferay profile. So this one wouldn't work for guest users. This only evaluates your user profile. And then we have the other one for Facebook age, which is reading the information for your Facebook profile if you are connected. So those are the 2 sources we have right now.
And region?
And the region. So for the region, we are using the IP at this point. We are using this. We are using our geolocation module. Location. And this one is right now based on the IP. So we use a database from IPs from different places, and we try to match and identify where it comes from.
And is it possible, for example, to graduate regions according, for example, our needs as a developer? Because for our country, we have in our regions, or we need some own separation by our own regions. Is it possible to extend or change it by some way?
So everything is very extensible. Since this is following the new OSGI patterns, I can tell you later, you can go very, very deep into the extensibility. So you could create your own rule to start with and then follow your own logic to use whatever you want. But if you want to stay with our rule, this location one, even the implementation for identifying the final location of the user can be overridden easily by another OSGI module, so you can have your own logic in there. So there are many different options to build that.
Hi. Is it already possible to apply the categorization to assets?
To play what, sorry?
To apply the categorization to the assets.
Categorization to the assets?
For the score points. So you say this...
Yeah, so I showed it for pages. If you want to content, I think this is what you mean. Let me know if I'm wrong. So I had the speakers here, is the one I showed you before with categorization, for example. For each of those users, I can just go to categorization, and here you have the user segment. Okay. And you can categorize it for as many user segments as you want.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Is that what you meant? Okay.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
One question, I was wondering, has it been tested for performance? Because I think it's really interesting if you've got loads and loads of users and loads of content. Will it still work with all those rules and everything?
So the performance, it probably will have an impact on performance, especially depending on the rules you have. So for example, in these rules, as I showed you, we are using like many fields from the Liferay database, but you could also access any external web service, or you could check wherever you want. So if you do that in every request, it will have an impact on performance, of course. And for the app itself, we are running a lot of tests right now, and that's in progress. So I cannot give you the report right now, but we will have it probably in the next weeks. But it will also depend on how much calculation you need to do for finding out the user segments. If you have everything local, it will be much faster than if you need to grab information from an external service or external database or whatever you're trying to do.
Okay,
but it will also have some cache levels, so you could catch all the information and so on. There are ways. I think there are ways to make it still performant, good performance, even if you have a lot of requisites.
Yeah, I think it would be great if as we apply it, that we know which kind of rules we can safely apply in a site with 100,000 users or something, that we know a little bit what to expect.
Yeah, so all the ones we are providing are not making any calculation in external service. Even for the IP, what we do is when we install the application, we download the database with all the IP addresses and locations, and we update it from time to time. So when we do the calculation, we do it locally. It's very fast. It's in the database, so we don't even need to do any calculation. If you develop others, then we can talk about that even in the next session about how to develop other rules, and then we can see the risks and the problems you could have.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. You're very welcome.
I saw all the nice tracking events, especially YouTube. That's really cool. Is it possible to output these events to an external system like Google Analytics, so you can use the data in your funnels you already set up?
Yeah. There are many different ways. We can go into the technical details in the next session if you want. Right now we are using like an engine in the browser so that we keep collecting all the information about users, and from time to time we flush that information and we send it to all the destinations that you have defined. So for this demo we only have defined the Liferay destination, and that one is mentioning all the information. But we could also enable Google Analytics or any other analytics provider. They have we are using a tool called Analytics.js, and I think it has like 30 or 40 integration points with other external tools that you could just enable.
Nice. Cool.
Oh, so many questions. There's another one there.
Maybe one more question?
Well, we have 2 more sessions, guys, so take it easy.
I was wondering, we saw to prioritize campaigns, and that the user will see the one with the highest priority. But what if you have overlapping campaigns? Will he only see the one with the highest priority, or will it somehow switch to also the next one?
So at this point, with this application we have, it will only show the one with highest priority for your user segment. So here I'm just seeing this audience targeting campaign. I'm not seeing any other content, so it's just showing one. Something very cool, which now that you're mentioning, is to have another application which will be like a slider, right? Yeah, with more than one.
It starts with the one with the highest priority, and then maybe after some while it switches to the next one.
That's a cool idea, actually. We could build that very easily. So, I mean, and you can even do that in your own app using our services. We can go into that in the next session if you want. That will be a really, actually I will write it down for the feedback because it's a very good idea for our suggestions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.